Okay, so I'd like to move on, Jonathan, now to travel trends. What are the we've talked about the operator side and the supply side, but what trends are we seeing in the customer side? What do people want from their travel? Do they all just want to come to the same 5-star luxury resorts, or are we looking for different services now?
We've seen a big trend in the explosion of brands in our space. So we've seen Marriott now have 30 brands, and they continue to add. Trying to get into these niche markets, trying to compete with some of these boutique players who are now coming into the marketplace.
So these are the big brands, but they're trying to sort of create differentiated products.
Trying to get into this space, and I must say, Starwood did a great job with W. Being one of the initiators of that brand and product in that boutique lifestyle space. So I see, and I'm sure you see it as well, but a lot more coming into this whole lifestyle, boutique, experiential.
Yeah. And for this region, how well resourced is it for those type of products? I mean, are we still at the beginning of that curve, or is that market also quite well saturated?
Well, you're operating in the market.
I think it's mature as well as the others.
Okay.
There has been an explosion of brands and all type of products, but what matters in the end is that guest experience. Whether from a economy hotel or a luxurious hotel. I believe that going forward we will see more of those individually non-branded, excellent quality boutique hotels. If we compare again ourselves with Europe, you have a lot of fantastic properties within in Amsterdam or in Paris or London that are not branded, but they will remain on that boutique frame, which they don't exceed 100 to 150 rooms.
And who do you think will be the investors in this region? The investors behind those non-branded hotels? Will it still be the big, the big investors that are just looking to differentiate or diversify their portfolios?
No, I would see passionate people, passionate investors, rather than large investors. I would see maybe new billionaires, young with a football player or this type. It's more passion than.
Interesting.
And I think the whole food and beverage play comes into it as well. So we're seeing, and as a result of that, we've evolved our global restaurant investment forum, GRIF, in the region. Because the operators are looking at this space. Food and beverage is their front door, isn't it, really? And you've got some great mid-market budget hotels that are in the space, but they have good food and beverage. So you look at the Citizen M, you look at the Zoku in Europe, in Amsterdam, you look at 25 Hours. You look at these hotels that are providing a great food and beverage experience, but a budget hotel stay. And that's growing rapidly at the moment.
And where would that take off in the GCC? Would that be Saudi Arabia, where you've got a large domestic population, or would it be in Dubai, where you've got so many people passing through?
I think Dubai, because Dubai remains the hub, and these type of hotels you need to associate them to entertainment and leisure, and I think Dubai is set the bar high at this stage.
And you could argue that Sheikh Mubarak's done a great job with Action Hotels, focusing in on this space, the budget hotel space, with the Holiday Inn Express brand.
I want to round off now with a couple of top tips from each of you. So if I start with you, Jonathan, what for you will be the 3 dominant trends for the Arabian hotel industry in 2017 and 2018? What will shape hotel investment and the hotel market in the next 2 years?
Well, personally, I don't think you can look at it from a year-to-year basis. I think you have to look 5-10 years down the road and take a pot shot. So I would say that one of the challenges that we will face as an industry, I think, is technology, but also robotics. and how we're going to deal with robotics in the future, and that may go to your sport, reducing cost to some extent. So I think that'll come in. I think the whole distribution, the struggle that we're having at the moment, will continue to go forward, and it's of course a big part of our conference that we're speaking about. And the third thing I think is staffing. It's got to be. It's how do we develop the locals to come into our business? I personally think we need more superstars in our industry. In Europe, you've got them. You've got the Richard Bransons of the world who are the youngsters look up to and say, "You've done it. I can do it. I don't need to go into conventional businesses. I don't need to be an oil executive or a banking executive.
Sure.
I can go into, like Ahmed Ramdan from Roya, for example. Wonderful example of a local.
That's true.
And I think we need more heroes like that to encourage the youngsters here to move into our industry. It's a great industry.
There is a tradition here, sort of, for people to keep a low profile, isn't there? The people have the big investment companies. There's not that many sort of names.
That's right.
And Khaled, for you, Jonathan extended my time period from 2 years to a decade, so let's do 5 to 10 years. What are the 3 things that you think will shape Arabian hotel and hospitality in the next 5 to 10 years?
I would say smart development, efficiency.
When you say smart development, you mean
Smart
Internet of Things and digital?
No, smart development that would include the whole thing, even the type of hotel that we want to develop tomorrow. We really need to understand the market, and to see it from our perspective, and to look at opportunities that project might present in that or that audience. And of course the efficiency, which is also the development cost. Part of that efficiency, there is the technology. It's like cloud computing today, which will help you to establish a platform that it's flexible and you can expand going forward without having to overhaul the whole thing and again come up with a big investment. Innovation, of course, is key, but again, innovation at every level. It doesn't have to be that we go to the moon. I think operators will be challenged, not only on the top lines. We will need to have a way of transparency in terms of GOP per available room. This is something that I think the market today, or the investors, will be looking at. Really to benchmark that efficiency and to ensure that operators are behind. I always had this discussion with operators, and some of them, they would tell me, because the model we used to run before in Saudi, mainly franchise model. So I told them, look, the owner today, if he want to have a franchise model, it's not for paying less fees to the operator. It's mainly for being able to control those expenses or these cost components. So what I would like to see is that operators are having the same approach in dealing with these cost components. They really have to become efficient, more efficient than they used to be. And I want them to forget the history, because we are no longer in that era where the oil at $120 barrel and government spendings are all over, and oil and gas. We are in completely different era.
We have a new normal.
Completely. We need really to be efficient and clustering many other initiatives that can be brought in on board to achieve that.